Assalamualaikum. Hi, I'm Aniza Hanis. My group and I are going to present our discussion regarding two cases that we have chosen as our main focus, which is chessboard and also lollipops. Without further ado, we shall begin our discussion with our first cases, chessboard. Why we choose chessboard for our presentation is because although chessboard has a typical and simple geometry shape, however, we want to know why does the chessboard is created with squares instead of other unique geometries. Now, let's get to know the history of chessboard. Chessboard have been known since ancient history. The first known version of chess appeared around the 6th century in India and was called chaturanga, played on the board of the game Astapada. Chess was invented in India around the 6th century. Then, it was known as chaturang and was modified by Arabs, Persians, and finally feudal Europeans for centuries. Board games have been known for a long time, and the oldest record is the paintings of Egypt's first dynasty and third dynasty Mastaba. The earliest forms of the game, now called chess, can be traced back to India in the 6th century. Like modern games, this model called chaturanga or chatur was played on an 8x8 grid and generally contained pieces similar to those of modern chess. This board is monochromatic, divided into 8 columns times 8 rows, and after arriving in ancient Persia, the board adapted to new chess variants with more columns and rows. One of the variants of the time, Tamerlan chess, was 11 columns times 10 rows, with 2 additional squares called citadels to the right of the player's second row, which played a special role in the game. When chess arrived in Europe in the 10th century, the board was given a unique recognizable checkerboard pattern and was used in flows with small 5x5 boards. Chessboards have been made of many materials over the years, including ebony, ivory, marble, metal, glass, and plastic. They can also be found as decorative elements in squares, gardens, and living rooms. A chessboard is a type of king board used in chess games with chess pieces. A chessboard is usually in the shape of a square with an alternating pattern of 2 colored squares. The chessboard is an 8x8 grid with alternating colored squares. Half of the 64 squares are called bright squares and the rest are called dark squares. Traditionally, wooden boards are made from undyed light brown and dark brown wood. To reduce costs, many panels are made of more expensive wood veneer glued to the inner part of the plywood. Various color combinations are used for plastic, vinyl, and silicone sheets. Common dark light combinations are black and white and brown, green, or blue with creams. Chess pieces are characterized by their appearance and are made of hard materials. The work has contrasting colors, usually white and black. 6 different types of pieces are king, rook, bishop, queen, knight, and pawn. The length of the square is 5 to 6.5 cm. Individual squares on the board can be identified using descriptive, algebra, or numerical chess notation.
Hi, I'm Atif. So, I will share with you the calculation of area and volume for a chessboard using the calculation I had learned in MAT123. First thing first, we need to know the shape that we are going to use for this case. As we are using a chessboard, the shape that we are going to use is small square that combine to form a big square as a whole for the 8x8 board. Let's say the measure of the small square is 5 cm for each side. The area for a square is A equals side times side, and the standard notation should be in cm square. Therefore, the area for one small square is 5 times 5, which equals 35 cm square. If the board size is 8 times 8, the total number of small square is 64. Hence, the total area for a whole chessboard is 64 times 25 equals 1600 cm square. Next, let's move on to the calculation of volume. Volume formula should be calculated as V equals side times side times side, and the standard notation should be in cm cube. Since each side of square is 5 cm, the volume is 5 cm times 5 cm times 5 cm equals to 125 cm cube. If the total small square of a whole chessboard are 64, hence 64 times 125 cm cube equals 8000 cm cube. And that's how the calculation works. Lastly, I can conclude that chessboard has a reason why it is created in a square shape instead of other geometry shapes. The pieces of chess are circle in shape, so the most suitable shape to place the pieces should be wide so that they can occupy the space square easily.
Hi everyone, I'm Fakira Aiman. So me and my beloved partner Mariam would like to present about lollipop. It is the second study case. We choose lollipop because the lollipop has two shapes, namely sphere and cylinder. The top of lollipop will represent a sphere, while the bottom stem will represent a cylinder. Moreover, lollipops are concise and easy shape to count. Although the lollipops has many forms, we choose the spherical shape because the sphere has a volume that is easy to calculate, as we had learned in Foundation of Geometry. Do you guys know, in 1796, English lexicographer Francis Gross first recorded the phrase lollipop. The term may have come from the words lolly, thumb, and pop, slap, implying that lollipops are essentially thumb slaps. It's impossible to say when home chefs first started making lollipops. In Charles Dickens' mid-19th century work, he mentions candy on a stick. These sweet hard candies were popular around the period of the American Civil War and were occasionally put on the end of the pencils and sucked on. We don't know which company was the first to mass produce these sweets. However, it is known that George Smith, a candy maker who enjoyed eating a competitor's chocolate caramels on a stick, creating a lollipop by attaching a hard candy to a stick. As far as we know about Chupa Chups, which is a brand of the lollipop that are most popular in the world. For your information, Salvador Dali created the Chupa Chups logo. It is possible to make lollipops at home, but most people choose to buy cheap suckers at a local store. Adults and children alike adore them. They are popular among of the children because of their sweetness and novelty. However, adults are increasingly turning to them to help them break their nicotine addiction, since the motion of sucking the sucker in and out of the mouth mimics the motion of smoking. Today, lollipop is typically defined as a hard candy that is eaten off of a stick. As you guys know, a lollipop is a type of sugar candy usually consisting of hard candy mounted on a stick and intended for sucking or licking. Lollipops, often known as suckers, are hard candy with a small stick attached to them. The tightly wrapped white paper stick serves as a handle, and the hard candy lollipop is either sucked or bitten apart until consumed. Lollipops come in a wide variety of shapes and sizes. No matter what size, the lollipop made in primarily of sugar, water, corn syrup, and flavorings.
Now, I would like to share with you guys the calculation of area and volume for a lollipop using the formulas I had learned from Foundation of Geometry. Firstly, we must know the shapes that we are going to use for this case. I am currently using a lollipop. As you can see, the main shape here is a sphere, while the other one is a cylinder. We will discuss first about the areas of the shapes. Basically, there are two types of sizes from chupa chups, which is a regular and a mini size one. Let's focus for the regular size one first. Diameter for the sphere is 26 mm, which makes the radius equals to 13 mm. The formula for area of sphere is pi r square, which r stands for radius. Therefore, the calculation should be 5 times pi times 13 square, which equals to 2213.72 mm square. Next, we will be calculating for the area of stick, which is a cylinder shape. I will explain to you guys separately since it will be more than two surfaces area. For cylinder, we will calculate two circle area and a rectangle. We will be using 2 pi r square for two circles. The radius here is 4 mm, so when we put them into the formula, it will be 2 times pi times 13 square equals to 1061.86 mm. For the rectangle, the formula is 2 pi r h. 2 pi r here is the circumference of the circle and the h here is the height of the stick, which is 88.9 mm. As the result, we will get 326.73 mm. Remember to total out both rectangles and circles areas so it equals to 1388.59 mm square. Now let's move on to the volume of the shape, shall we? The formula for the volume of sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, and we substitute again the information we got into the formula given. 4/3 times pi times 13 cubed. We will get 9202.77 mm cubed. Remember that millimeter square should be written for area and millimeter cube for volume. Last but not least, the volume of cylinder or the stick. The formula for a cylinder is pi r square h. Then we substitute again the information we got and start to calculate them. We will get 4468.6 mm cube as the volume of the stick.
Geometry is a kind of mathematics that deals with shapes and figures. It involves such ideas as line, shapes, angle, and curve. Wherever one looks around or walks about, we will likely see geometric figures everywhere around us. Geometry explains how to build or draw shapes, measure them, and compare. We use geometry in many kinds of work, from buildings and bridges, all the things that surround are in geometric shape.
As for our first cases for the chessboard game, we can conclude that although it has a simple geometry shape which is square, it happens that the shape is the most suitable option for a chess game because it is big enough to allow multiple tricks and strategies possibilities. As the shape's calculation, we can conclude that the total area and the volume of the chessboards are just nice and suitable enough for the pieces.
Lastly, we can conclude that lollipops contain two geometrical shapes, which is a cylindrical and sphere. The cylindrical shape is suitable enough to insert it into lollipops to make them easier to hold, while the lollipops is sphere in shapes make it easier for us to eat it, and it suits our mouth shape rather than square or other shapes. The volume of the lollipops must be suitable for the cylindrical so that it is much balanced and easier for us to hold it without the lollipops fall. In supposition, geometry is part of the daily lives for human life. From houses to workplaces, design rule our life. In this regard, geometry is a real-life daily part of the human existence.
And that's all from us Geometrize group, and we hope you could learn something from our presentation. Thank you to all of my group mates Atif Haikal, Fakira Aiman and Mariam Razali for the cooperation along the journey working on this video. And not to forget to our lecturer, Madam Diana Sirmayuni, for your help and support towards all your students. Have a great day everyone. Assalamualaikum.